This is 42-year-old Lester Burnham. The man is going through a midlife crisis. Lester is married, but despite this, the man manually relieves the tension in his soul. He and his wife Carolyn have a daughter named Jane. Lately, Lester's life has been very dull and gray. He writes articles for one of the magazines, but the time comes when the company where he works starts downsizing. For this, Lester is called by Brad, a labor organization consultant, asking about Lester's achievements in the company. Lester is pissed because rumor has it that the magazine's editor-in-chief has been using call girls, where one of them memorized his credit card information. After that, she lived for several months and paid for her vacation at the expense of Lester's company. And now they want to cut the staff to compensate for these losses. At home at dinner, Lester tells about his troubles at work, but Jane is not interested because Lester, for the last month, and a couple of words with his own daughter, did not interchange. When Jane leaves, Lester tells Carolyn that she is not the best mother in the world because she treats her daughter as her subordinate. As Lester tries to talk to Jane from the street, they are accosted by Ricky, a new neighbor who has recently moved in. The next evening, Carolyn and Lester go to a high school basketball game where Jane is a cheerleader. Between games during the team's performance, Lester can't take his eyes off Jane's girlfriend Angela. As he stares at the girl, Lester's imagination plays out. After the match, Lester and Carolyn wait for Jane, who is not very happy to see her parents, despite the fact that the parents praise the girls for their performance. When Lester learns that the girls are going to the pizzeria, he offers them a ride, but it turns out that Angela has a car. Jane thinks her father is pathetic, but Angela finds Lester to be a nice man who seems to have not been intimate with Carolyn for a long time. At night, lying in bed, Lester feels very happy after meeting Angela. The man feels as if he has been reborn. Sitting in the car, Jane apologizes for her father, but Angela has long been accustomed to the attention of men. The girl believes that if a man looks at her, it means that she has a huge chance to become a model. Jane walking to the house is again filmed by Ricky. The girl notices the guy and calls him an ass. Turning off the light in the room, Jane looks out the window onto the porch of the neighboring house. After pulling the curtains, a smile appears on her face, because up to that moment the guys had not shown any attention to the girl. The next morning, while Jane is taking a shower, Lester, having spied Angel's number, calls the girl from his daughter's phone. But when he hears that Jane has stopped washing, he hangs up and leaves his daughter's room. Angel calls Jane back and asks if she called, because the caller ID shows her number. Noticing Angel's notebook open on her phone number on the table, Jane realizes what has happened. The girl at that moment is again filmed by Ricky, whom his mother calls for breakfast. Ricky's father hears the call, meets on the doorstep his neighbors of non-traditional orientation wanting to meet their new neighbors. Fitz is a military man and a rabid homophobe. Angela tells her classmates that she gave herself to a famous photographer for what the girls consider her a girl of easy behavior. When she notices Ricky being brought to school by his father, Jane tells Angela about the guy who filmed her last night. According to Angela, she knows Ricky, and he is apparently a slightly deranged man who is rumored to have been committed to a mental institution by his parents. Listening to Jane begin to defend Ricky, Angela begins to suspect that her friend has a crush on the new neighbor. Their conversation is interrupted by Ricky admitting that he didn't mean to scare Jane yesterday. He was filming her because he was interested in the girl. Looking after Ricky, Angel thinks he's crazy because the guy didn't even pay any attention to her. At night, Carolyn drags Lester to a business party, where the man meets Ricky, a neighborhood guy with whom they smoke pot in the parking lot. Ricky gets a reprimand, after which he announces that he's quitting his job. Lester looks at the guy and admits that from now on Ricky is his idol. The guy quits his job, and he's not upset about it. Ricky admits that the job is a diversion and that his source of income is pot dealing. Upon returning from a party, the parents discover Jane is home with her girlfriend Angela. She wants to stay the night. Eavesdropping on the girls' conversation, Lester learns that Angela thinks he's very cute, and if he pump up a little, She'd be happy to use Lester for her own lustful purposes. Hearing some sound, the girls go to the window through which they see Jane's name blazing. While filming the girls on camera, Jane comes into the frame with a smile on her face. Ricky is happy about this, and after a moment notices Lester, who pulls out an old dumbbell and starts to work out for the night. In the morning, Lester joins the running neighbors, asking for help to show the guys how to get in shape quickly. Looking at the running trio, Colonel Fitz thinks Lester is gay, who ran to the Fitz house and goes with Ricky to his room to get a movie. But this is just an excuse for the guy's father, as Lester actually wants to buy herbs. After all, Ricky sells pot, which he told Lester about at last night's party. At his job, Lester makes it clear that he's going to quit the company he's worked for 14 years, but as compensation, Lester demands a year's salary and a bonus. Otherwise, he will tell the IRS about the editor-in-chief and the call women who were paid from the company's accounts. Meeting at the school after school, Jane offers Ricky a ride home, but Angela is against it because she thinks the guy is crazy. Ricky says he will walk home, which Jane decides to do. While Lester is happy to be fired from his job and get a big score, his wife Carolyn cheats on the man with Buddy, the owner of a real estate company. The Rickies bring Jane to their home, introducing the girl to her mother, who, as it turns out, is not even more normal than Ricky. Watching a video of a flying package shot by Ricky, Jane kisses the guy. Back home, Jane begins to undress in front of the window, knowing that Ricky is filming her at that moment. The next night, talking to the guy who is filming everything again, Jane complains about her father. She hates him because she needs a father to look up to, not a jerk who has his eye on her friend. Jane wants someone to beat the crap out of Lester, and then Ricky asks her if she wants him to kill her father. Jane agrees, but then says it's just a joke. Lester gets a job as a fast food cook and recognizes the voice of his wife Carolyn ordering. Going to the rendition window, the man catches her kissing Buddy. During dinner, Ricky receives a pager message from Lester, who wants to buy more weed. The guy leaves, deceiving his parents that Jane forgot her notebook at his place. Going to the window, the colonel notices a half-undressed Lester on the couch and Ricky in front of him. Looking at this picture, Fitz Sr. thinks that his son is pleasuring Lester, who scatter after Jane and Angel arrive at the house. The girl notices a pumped-up Lester and touches his arm. Back home, Ricky is beaten up by his father because he thinks his son is gay. The boy leaves home. Jane and Angela fight because Jane thinks the girlfriend is too promiscuous and asks her not to sleep with Lester. At that moment, Ricky appears in the room, suggesting Jane to go to New York with him, to which the girl agrees. Swinging in the garage, Lester notices outside the colonel, who opens the gate to let him inside. Fitz asks where Carolyn is. He learns that Lester's wife is with Buddy, but Lester himself does not care, as their marriage is just a show. Having misunderstood Lester, the colonel tries to kiss him, and then returns home. Back in the house, Lester finds Angela in the living room, who tells him about a quarrel with Jane over Lester himself, as the girl thinks he is sexy. After admitting that he wants Angela, Lester starts kissing the girl, taking off her clothes. The man discovers that Angela hasn't actually done the deed yet, so he throws some clothes on her. While Angela is tidying up in the restroom, Lester looks at a family photo. A gun is put to his head from behind, after which a gunshot sounds. Ricky and Jane come down from the girl's room and find Lester's body on the floor. At the same time, Carolyn was heading home to shoot her husband, but someone did it earlier, and who write in the comments. You have been on the Recap Roman channel. Subscribe and give it a like. See you soon.